southern coast of the Gulf of Corinth, which is an intracontinental rift, and it is one of the most tectonically active areas of the world. It is located in central Greece. Let's move now to the first example I will present you. As I said in the introduction, the area is the broader area of Neapolis. It is located in the southeastern part of the Peloponnese, along the southeastern coast of Laconic Gulf. It lays between Cape Coulenti to the northwest, to Agia Marina to the southeast, and it also includes the small island of Elafonissos, which is an island of 19 square kilometers. It is separated by the opposite continental area by a very shallow and very narrow seawater canal. As you can see here in the map, the location of the area shows that it is very tectonically very active. It lies about 90 kilometers east-northeast from the convergent plate boundary, from the Hellenic subduction zone. So it is tectonically very, very active. Let me show you now, let me say a few words about the geology of the area. The alpine basement of the area consists of rocks of Mesozoic age, such as limestones, dolomites, dolomitic limestones, and an extensive part consists of metamorphic rocks. But also on top of this alpine basement, there are sedimentary marine origin sedimentary sequences. Here they are represented by this olive green color. You can see them here. I don't know if you see my cursor. Can you see it or no? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And this area of Prophytis Ilias and Agia Marina, and on some sites on the island of Elafonissos. Of course, there are some sedimentary sequences of fluviotorrential origin. I have to say that the presence of these marine origin sedimentary sequences at the elevation of 180 meters above present-day mean sea level indicates that the area is being uplifted during the late Quaternary period. Here I have marked some faults, but I have to say that these are not active, or if they are active, they are of very low activity, so they do not displace the marine terraces I will present you later. Let me now discuss the methodological approach we followed for this case, which is similar with other similar studies around the world where long-term uplift estimations are attempted using marine terraces. The main aim of our study, of every study of this kind, is to correlate marine terraces in space and time. So the first necessary step is the detailed, if possible, mapping of the distinct marine terrace surfaces, and especially their inner edges, as we said before that they are the geomorphic markers that correspond to the previous sea level. Usually mapping includes two phases, a first laboratory phase and the second mapping phase in the field. In our case, the laboratory phase included the analysis of a detailed 2-meter cell size digital elevation model of the area, and visual inspection and interpretation of aerial photos and Google Earth Pro images. While the field survey includes the verification of the uplifted marine terraces identified and mapped during the first laboratory phase. And for this, we use detailed topographic maps in the field and, of course, DGPS equipment. In our case, we constructed also in very detailed, 3 topographic profiles across the marine terraces, roughly perpendicular to the present-day coastline. And along these profiles, we attempted to collect samples for OSL dating. And we are happy that we had 2 samples that gave us ages from 2 different marine terraces and from 2 different parts of the area. Of course, a significant part of the methodology is the dating, which in our case was OSL dating. To estimate the long-term tectonic uplift of the dated marine terraces, we used this simple question, which is used in many similar studies around the world. In fact, it is a question that correlates that shows the relationship between the elevation of the inner edge of the marine terrace and the age of the marine terrace. Of course, the elevation of the marine terrace is corrected according to the position of the sea level at the time of terrace formation. Even if this equation is very simple, we need to take into account all the errors and the uncertainties, and they are many in such studies. There are errors that concern the sea level curve used. So they have to do with the duration of the sea level high stand that corresponds to the marine terrace, and of course the position of the sea level at these high stands. And there are errors associated with accuracy of the measurement of the inner edge of the marine terrace. This is why we used these two equations, which are modified versions of the previous equation, in order to estimate the minimum and the maximum long-term uplift rate of the dated marine terraces. Let me say a few words about the errors that concern the uncertainty due to two things. The first thing is the accuracy of both the digital elevation model used for the mapping of the marine terraces and the DGPS measurement in the field. These uncertainties have to do with the precise estimation of the elevation of the inner edge. And there is another ±1 meter elevation error range, which has to do with the mislocation of the inner edge. When we say mislocation of the inner edge, we mean that you can see here in this figure that after the formation of the marine terrace, usually the inner edge is concealed by various processes after the formation and the abandonment of the marine terrace. For example, in this figure, it is covered by sand dune deposits due to the dune migration, due to aeolian processes in the area after the formation and abandonment of the marine terrace. And usually this inner edge is covered by colluvial wedge, by talus cones, by scree, or in general by material that is produced by the erosion of the upper part of the paleoclif. We need to take it into consideration, and I have to say here that there is a software called Terraces MATLAB, which is very useful not only for mapping and modeling of marine terraces, but also for the estimation of the exact position of the inner edge of the marine terraces. And here is a schematic representation of all the uncertainties I talked about before. I have here I present as an example the marine terrace of MIS 5E. Here is the uncertainty due to the elevation of the inner edge of the terrace, and here are the uncertainties that have to do with the sea level curve used, the duration of the sea level high stand, and the position of the sea level at the date of the marine terrace formation. Let me show you now the final map of the marine terraces. This is the final map of the marine terraces. We identified 10 marine terraces numbered T1 to T10 from the youngest and the lowest to the highest and oldest. The two oldest marine terraces, the two higher, were not well preserved, so we could not correlate them with an MIS sea level high stand, as we will see later. I have to say that the area was divided into three parts. You can see that at the middle part of the area there are no marine terraces, since they have been eroded by the drainage networks by fluvial processes of the drainage networks that drain this part, and since the geological formations are very, very soft. So we have three parts of the area. One is the Elafonissos Island, the other is the opposite Cape Punto area, and the other is the Neapolis, Prophytis Ilias, and Agia Marina. Here you can see in this table the elevation of the inner edges of each marine terrace for these three parts of the area. If you look at the table carefully, you will see that the inner edges of each marine terrace is at the same elevation or a similar elevation in all three parts of the area. And this is a very important finding, since it shows that the area is being uplifted uniformly. The marine terraces are not displaced because of the activity of any major fault in the area. And probably the driving force for this uniform tectonic uplift is the proximity to the subduction zone, since no major faults have been mapped offshore the area. As I said before, we constructed 3 topographic profiles. You can see them here in detail. With the colored arrows, I have assigned here the inner edges of these marine terraces and their elevation. And of course, along these profiles, we tried each profile to be in a different part of the area. And along these profiles, we collected OSL samples for OSL dating. As I said before, dating marine terraces is not an easy task. So even if we collected a great number of samples, only 2 gave OSL accurate results. And I have to say that even if we collected also samples for uranium-thorium disequilibrium method, none of the samples were suitable for this dating method. So we are happy that we have only two dated samples, but it is important that they are from different marine terraces and from different locations of the study area. Here are some photos. This is the area of the first profile, profile A, at Cape Punto area. You can see the series of uplifted marine terraces. Here with the colored arrows, I indicate the inner edges of the marine terraces that are cut by this profile. Here is a close-up of the inner edge of T3. T3 corresponds to MIS 5E, if I don't make mistake. And here is the paleo cliff. And here you can see the location of the OSL sample from T5 marine terrace, which is from the caprock of this marine terrace. When we say caprock, we mean kind of beach rock, very, very consolidated material that covers the marine sedimentary sequence of the marine terrace. In fact, our samples were sedimentary blocks, were not classical OSL samples. Here is another series of photos from the Elafonissos Island, where we constructed the second profile. You can see here the surfaces of these marine terraces. In this photo, you can see the inner edge, which is very well defined. It is for T1, for marine terrace T1. It is somewhere here, the photo at the inner edge of this marine terrace. And this is a photo from the southern part of the island, where a series of bedrock marine terraces has been preserved. And here is another series of photos from the third area, from the Neapolis, Prophetis Ilias and Agia Marina. And you can see here the surface of marine terrace T3, which corresponds to 5E, and which is the inner edge is marked here by a fossiled notch. Here is the location where we collected the sample, the OSL sample. And here also we can see the paleo cliff and the surface of the marine terrace, which is very, very well preserved. Okay, here are the results of the OSL dating, and I have to say that we managed to correlate the marine terraces we collected the samples from with MIS sea level high stands. Here in this diagram, you can see that we have projected the elevation of the inner edge. Here is the elevation of the inner edge of the marine terrace, and here is the age of the OSL dated sample. And of course, here we have marked with gray colored bands the duration of each one of the MIS sea level high stands for the period of late Quaternary. And you can see here that it is marine terrace T3 is very well correlated with MIS 5E, and the other terrace T5 is very well correlated with MIS 7C. So taking into consideration all the uncertainties I mentioned before, and with the application of the simple formula I showed you, we estimated a mean uplift rate of the area of 0.3